Welcome to the best outdoors program just off the shores of the mighty Red River. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, the heart and soul of all things related to God's great outdoors. Starring Gary McCoy, an all-around outdoorsman with a CMA Award for Best Personality in Radio. A man who excels in the radio world and needs no introduction to the outdoors, whether standing tall in the winner's circle or sitting low in the deer stand. Mike Eccles, the boss, tournament trail director, and outstanding duck hunting guide with a wealth of outdoors knowledge who's not afraid to give his opinion with or without the facts. His years of bass tournament experience ensures that rules are followed and anglers are kept in check. And last but not least, Daiwa and Ranger Pro Steve Graff, a member of the Northwestern State University Hall of Fame with years of bass tournament experience who continues his pursuit of a double-digit bass and championship stringers. So let's jump on the front deck and make that first cast with the legendary minds of the great outdoors. Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the one and only Steve Graff. Take it away, guys.
Hey, the show is brought to you by Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Steve Nichols, and Specialty Traco, along with Bucks and Bulls Guides and Outfitters, CCA of Louisiana, and Despino and Jim South Tire. I'm Gary McCoy, along with the old Ranger Pro staffer, Steve Graff.
Yo!
The Mud Hen, Mike Eccles,
Right.
the house, and he looks like he's going to a pool tournament.
Yeah.
A little topwater in there with his little hat.
Yes, my pool hat.
Yeah.
Are you a pool shooter?
No, not at all.
Never?
No, I have once or twice.
Yeah. Were you any good?
Oh, yeah, of course.
What about bowling?
Bowling, I'm the best you'll ever meet.
Really?
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah.
you probably meet somebody that can beat me every now and then.
Now, Gary comes from a little bowling family.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'm in a bowling group called the Bowling Stones. We got T-shirts made and everything.
I like that.
Got the Rolling Stones logo with a bowling ball on the tongue.
Did you wear your fedora when you...
Oh, no.
No.
It'll mess with me, you know?
Oh,
Are you one of those guys, do you throw that real big wide curve
Yeah,
ball?
I don't even put my thumb in it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't, just so I can get enough hook out of it.
Have
know?
you tried the new technique where they palm the ball, and spin it, and
I pretty much do that. I
Do
just
you
have
really?
2 fingers in, yeah.
Wow.
Unless I'm shooting at a spare, you know.
So you're
Yeah.
serious then?
Well,
Yeah.
I bowl for the Bowling Stones.
Okay.
Bowling stones.
What's your average?
Oh, 200 in there.
Yeah.
Not too high.
See, that's good. See, it only takes a 190 to go pro.
Is that all, really?
Yeah, 190.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 190 you can go to the,
There you go, Jay.
see?
There you go.
Maybe.
I think
ABC.
I found my calling.
There you
today
go.
On the Hooking Up and Tracking Down.
See, look.
Exactly.
You know,
I knew this show would pay off for me.
next
Exactly.
next week we'll have somebody
That's
else.
not that good. I bowled 225 several times.
Oh,
on,
let's
on
go.
3 games.
Yeah. With bumpers.
On 3 games.
Hey, listen, we got a really good show today. We're going to talk a little night fishing.
Yes, we are.
We're going to get to that here in just the next week.
Yeah, that's what Eccles is doing at night.
You're
ain't
not
out-
a night fisherman at all.
Oh, I love night fishing as long as I can be through by about 7 p.m.
right at dark.
Also got for you our Lake Fork report with Johnny Geis. And last night we had the big meeting at the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries with several of the Wildlife and Fisheries upper people were there, the upper echelon. Was Jack there? Was Jack Monisset? Did he
Yes,
make it?
he was there. But
Okay.
he's not the one that's going to be going to call in. We're going to have the assistant secretary.
Yeah.
I can't think of his
Patrick
name.
Banks.
Patrick Banks.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the show with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about the plan that they have instituted to not only release a lot of the weevils into Lake Bistineau in regards to the Salvinia issue, but some of the other plan that they've got for maintaining, because, we've talked to Jack a couple of times on the show, and Jack himself says, right now we don't have a cure. There's not that death nail. There's not that situation that we can say this by itself will eliminate Salvinia.
Well, absolutely, and that's what I'm hoping that I hope they maintain that mentality. We don't have the cure, so we're going to keep working on it, and not this. Oh, we're going to give you some weevils, this warm and fuzzy feeling like everybody's going to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they realize we don't have the cure yet, they're going to keep working on it. I mean, they won't listen to me.
Well, I know what your idea is that
We don't listen to you either.
what was your idea again? That we gather it all up and we convince the young millennial that
you
they're
can
good to
smoke
smoke.
it. Yeah, that you can smoke it. Yeah. Or coon ass that you can make gumbo out of. Yeah, one of the two. No, seriously, you've got to stop the reproduction of it.
Yeah.
And I also think they need to come up with some type, instead of spraying, they need to come up with something that you can spray the surface of the water. that will attach to the roots, and will kill it that way. You need to leave a blanket out there instead of just contact. Something that's got to, anytime it floats through this film on the water, that it kills it.
So the wind would govern,
And I don't think anything, guys, that kills it is our solution either.
No, stop the reproduction first.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, you got to get it out of the lake, because we already heard what the problem's going to be. If you kill all of it, and it goes to the bottom over a period of years.
Yeah, but if you kill it once, if you can stop the reproduction, if you just kill it once, then you just got that year's crop laying on the bottom.
Yeah.
If you have to kill it every year, then you've got a sediment problem.
Compounding your problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, today's show, Bassmaster Pro Carl Swayback's going to be on the show. If you recognize that name, it's because at one time, wouldn't you guys have said he was the king of Sam Rayburn?
Oh, ain't no doubt.
I mean, I would venture that between him and remember old Robert Yates back a couple of decades ago, the two of those guys were always neck and neck, like William Hale or Robert Hale and
they
Mike
weren't
Metcalf.
neck and neck because Robert was a lot taller than Carl.
Carl's going to be on the show. He just won. He just won the Central Open #2 on the Sabine River. Also, Mike started texting us a couple of days ago about an issue that happened, I guess, on Toledo Bend.
June the 12th, I think.
Okay.
Toledo Bend, where there was an argument over fishing a sunken top. Argument possibly between a guide or a person that put the top out and a couple that found it and were fishing it. And it escalated and wound up words, and it wound up somebody pulling a gun and one person being arrested, one person being charged. And it's apparently an ongoing problem, and it's one that's increasing because of so many people putting out tops now to crappie guide off of, and so many people having these incredible electronics in their boat, being able to find them, cruising around, finding the tops that somebody else has done all the work for, and then sitting on top of them.
But you know what? The minute you put that top in the water, it doesn't belong to you anymore.
No, the top does. The top does. You can pick it up and do anything you want to. It's just the fish around it don't belong to you.
But guess what? Yeah. If I find the top, I want to move it, I can move it too.
Right.
And that happens.
And that happens.
That happens.
It happened to me on Cross Lake.
But we're gonna actually have the agent that was there. So I've got my side of what happened because I know nothing about it and I just make it up. Then we got the guy there that's going to tell you how it really happened.
Some more outdoor outlaws coming up on this the show this week. And we'll have for you a number of other things that are going on, like an opportunity to get you a new duck truck from Delta Waterfowl. And ongoing right now, the kids are actually competing again in the Bassmaster Junior Championship. And as of yesterday, we had a Louisiana boy that was he and his partner. I want to say they're from Lake Charles. We'll get the full detail on that. But they were in second place. They're fishing in Tennessee, and I'm not sure exactly what body of water where that was.
Pickwick.
Oh, it is Pickwick?
Yeah.
Okay. Any rate, neat little story there that's going on with the Juniors.
Because we got some guys from Halton fishing that.
Ah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
One of the sponsors of the show.
Hey.
Bellevue Meat.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's Matt Nesbitt is fishing in that. Yep. I forgot about that.
We got a new team we got to pull for now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Whether you win, lose, or draw, congratulations on all the young anglers that have made it that far. And,
101 anglers.
Yeah, that have chosen that path in their life, and hats off to the parents and the teachers that now make this a high school and collegiate sport.
Right. No doubt. No doubt.
We had a tournament last Thursday.
We did. We had a cash blast. Let me say that this is actually the 8th tournament. We've got 2 more of them.
How many were there?
Well, we started falling off a little bit. 77.
Wow.
Which is still
that's still awesome.
Yeah, we've had this, we're running in the 90s until last 2 weeks ago. Anyway, 77 teams went out there and competed for about 3 hours, a 3-fish limit. Keep that in mind. Golly, Josh and Johnny Johnson were in the lead. They brought in 3 fish that weighed 12.19. and was looking at winning. I hate to rub salt in a wound, but this is just, everybody needs to know this. Had a chance to win $5,000 with the Triton Gold money until Ben and Cade Clement sauntered up there with 3 fish that weighed 1401 and took first place.
Wow.
So congratulations to Ben and Cade. They won $700 for first place. Then they won $300 because they had a 7.00 big bass and won an additional $300. Josh and Johnny came in second with 12.19, won $600. Brian Hedrick, Keith Kershaw, 11.80, won $500. Brandon Collins and Tandy Harlan, 1043 for $400. Andy and Drew Reeves, father and son team, just love them to death. They had 10.37, $300. Cass Caldwell and Peyton Igo, which were anglers of the year last year, so they were fishing free. They had 10.29 for $200. Andy Bickham and Clay Malone had 976 to win $100. 8th through 25th place won what we call the bonus bucks, $75 from sponsors. The youth division was Drew Reeves, the winner of that. He won $200 from Hook It Up and Track It Down and David Cowden Roofing. William 2 gets a check just about every time. He was second place in the youth division. He won $100 from National Loan and Jewelry. Thank you, Tookie, for that. And third place was Bennett Hopkins, son of Paul Hopkins. We all know Paul. He won $50 third place, and he won the $50 from Ralph Yelverton Paint Contractors. And something that I figured up last week out there, just to show you how beneficial the bonus bucks programs are for Cash Splash and the Boss. We took in $3,850 in entry fees out there that night. We paid back $4,800.
Wow.
That's pretty
You paid out $1,000 more than what you
well,
paid
actually, $950. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking right at 25%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a good deal, and it's all due to the sponsor.
Well, give us a fishing report on Cross Lake if you got a second. Are most of the guys catching the fish before dark or after dark, or do they even say?
Well, they say, and it's it changes with everybody. But I tell you, one of the things
it's within a 3-hour period, though.
Yeah, 3 fish limit. Yeah. he just can't help himself.
It's those socks.
Yeah.
They cut off the circulation.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
To his brain.
His socks have his circulation cut off to his brain. I tell you what we do see. We are seeing some of the really good older teams struggling.
Really?
And some of the newer teams doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And
What do you attribute that to?
fish changing.
Ah.
Yeah. Fish changing, baits changing, techniques.
Old guys stuck in their old ways. And,
Yeah.
I can believe that.
That's the only thing it can be because they're still great fishermen.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just not doing the new and different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another example to one of the negatives, I guess, if there is a negative to catch and release. I think we are catching these fish, putting them back, and we're
teaching them not to
training. I think they're just not as aggressive, and it's just taking different stuff to catch fish every day now.
Well, the newer, younger anglers aren't afraid to experiment.
Right.
Whereas a lot of us older guys, we're sitting, I want to flip a jig all day on that cypress tree.
See, that's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Somebody will say, "Oh, we're catching them on this white little winger noodle."
8-inch swim bait.
Okay. You catch those by yourself.
Exactly.
Or we catch them on the grass 10, 15 feet away from a cypress tree. No, I'm going to fish right beside that cypress tree.
Every time.
Yeah.
On
On the bottom.
And the sad part is that I think as a whole, we're like that. That's where Johnny Geis at Lake Fork is so different because, Johnny doesn't care what anybody else is thinking. Don't you know when he first started doing that, what does he call it, the beating on the...
Oh, yeah, thumping.
Thumping. Don't you know that everybody out there was like, look at Johnny.
Yeah.
There's
this idiot.
There's Johnny catching fish on brim heads, not a full body, just the head.
Yeah.
And don't you know that, at points that all the other guys are like, that's stupid Johnny guys.
Yeah. Next thing he'll be cutting a toe off and using it,
And there's Johnny, his clients holding up fish, 5 to 10 pounds,
exactly.
20 of them a day. And everybody else, if they're not going to hit a jig.
Wouldn't it be good to know you go catch a mess of brim, scale them, cut the heads off, fry the brim, eat them, and then take the trash and go out there and catch bass on them?
Yeah.
I'm in on that. Hey, we're hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
Thanks for tuning us in today. This segment is presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, J&J Exterminating, Redneck Reflections, V&M Baits, and Paul's Farm and Garden. Get your garden ready for spring by stopping by Paul's Farm and Garden. Now, back to the guys who love fresh vegetables, Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. Gary McCoy along with the Ranger Pro staffer Steve Graff, the old mud hen Mike Eccles, and it's that time of the year, you know. The temperatures are really starting to soar. Last week, I want to say Saturday, when we were fishing in that fundraiser tournament, Saturday, it was like 95, 96, somewhere along in there by weigh-in time.
You fished in that?
Yes. Did I show up at the weigh-in?
No.
No.
I was looking for you.
Well, I was on the water. I'd paid my entry fee, but
also participating in this event.
See, that was me. How come I didn't get a trophy?
A little Democrat.
I was supposed to get a trophy. I participated. Anyway, when it gets hot like this, a lot of times, you know, a lot of us, especially older guys, they can't handle the heat like we used to could. This is that time of the year when you start going night fishing.
Yeah.
Favorite night fishing lake around here?
Well, my best dink trip ever was at night.
Where?
Sibley Lake.
Okay.
On the lake I actually live on.
Did you ever do a whole lot of night fishing?
I did some, and I actually did some on Sibley.
Really?
Yep, did some on
What
Sibley.
would be your favorite?
What's that lake up there? Erling.
Lake Erling, yeah.
Lake
Awesome.
Erling. Probably I went up there with some firemen that fished up there a lot and had some good times, some good trips. You know, but
I would think Cross would be a great lake.
Any lake where you got clean banks, and that wasn't Erling.
Yeah.
But
good dock lighting.
Yeah. Cross Lake's a pretty good one. Other than you have the deal you're not supposed to about being too close to docks after a certain time at night.
Oh, really? I didn't know there's a rule.
Yeah. Well, people trying to protect their property,
it's
and you really need to be
not know
cognizant
that.
of that. You know, would you like somebody kind of pilfering around your boat dock there on Sibley
They do it all the time.
at night?
And I don't say a word. Yeah.
Really?
They fish my tops off my pier
Well,
at night. I don't care.
the minute you
Well,
put that
I'd
top in the water, it ain't yours.
Yeah, I almost sit out there
Get
with a
your
gun in
out.
my lap.
Well, you know, Greg McCormick there at Tucker's Landing, he and a couple of the other guys that kind of stay around there, two of the best Caddo Lake night fishermen that I know. But me, my favorite has always been Lake Merval at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love Merval. But the absolute best night fishing trip I ever had, I fished with Troy Wayne Myers and Greg McCormick, Lake Fork, July 4th, 1992. It was stupid
Y'all
how
were
many
fishing
fish
in
we
a canoe back then.
I can see Fork being good at night.
It was unbelievable. But we fished in Mustang Creek. And we've talked to Johnny a number of times since the fish kill. No fish hardly in
it ain't
Mustang.
as good as Mustang
And
used to be.
there was so much hydrilla back then. It was unbelievable. The buzzbait bite was incredible. Probably my favorite bait at night. Buzzbait or a jitterbug.
You know what the newest craze is going right now? The whopper plopper at night.
At night? I can see that.
Yeah, I could too.
I can see that.
Disturbs a lot
Well,
of water.
let's start from square one.
Okay.
When do you fish?
I like full moons.
Full moon
Full
or
moon.
the dark of the moon?
Full moon.
Full
I
moon.
love a full moon, especially when it starts rising right at sunset, so that you've got that moon and then it's on the decline. And I'll usually fish, till midnight, 1 o'clock, somewhere along in there, unless the fish are still really biting. But
Buddy-
you fish the shadows just like you do in the daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah. A buddy of mine likes the new moon. He don't want any moon.
Wow.
And he said it's the best action because it's so dark. So you look for the lighted docks, especially on those times.
Yeah.
Because the fish tend to migrate to those docks.
Well, you know what? My brother-in-law was telling me this. Over on Lake Fork, there's a number of docks that have got those new green lights.
Yes.
That they've got on them.
You see it in the Gulf.
And he said that some of them are down under the water.
They are under the
And
water.
he said you will see some toads just swimming through that light right there that are feeding on whatever's attracted by that light.
Actually, Cross Lake really is my favorite night fishing lake.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go, I'm going to go to Cross Lake because it's got so many nice houses with the windows lit up at night.
And the pretty girl.
Yeah, getting ready for bed.
So Mike's got his binoculars.
I feel like somebody's watching me.
He's talking about the lights under the water. When I go to
like
Galveston,
Pee Wee Herman out there in the boat.
when I go to Galveston with my brother, and we rent one of those condos right there in little subdivisions. Well, it's all the canals.
Yeah.
And a lot of those homeowners and houses have underwater lights. You just flip them on the light post right there, and kayaks is fishing at night in those canals is very popular at night.
You know what? I want to kind of deviate for just a second because you just mentioned kayaks. Kayaks are all over Caddo Lake now. It's become a big thing.
Really?
Oh, my God. They're all over Caddo Lake. If you are a kayak person, please understand there are bass boats all over.
Yeah.
And if you're in one of the channels and a guy's fishing a tournament and he rounds a curve and you're in the channel, you've just put your own life in your own hands, okay? Because there you are. There are no brakes on a bass boat. And, you don't need to be in the channel.
Aren't they required to have lighting, though, on these?
If it's just after day, it doesn't matter what time of the day. You come
Right.
into a blind curve.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's, and it's like some of the older guys that like to bass fish right there in the channel. I understand. But if you see or hear somebody coming, move out of the way. You're talking about life and death here.
If I was a kayaker, I'd avoid the boat channels.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need to
Yeah.
be in the channel to begin with.
If you're out there in a kayak, you're nothing but a big cork.
Exactly.
I'd avoid the boat roads at all costs.
I rounded a curve here about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. I rounded a curve in Turtle Shell, and all of a sudden, there's 50 kayaks in front of me, and I'm like, "Holy cow!" Somebody's fixing to die,
Yeah.
and it ain't going to be me. And
If I just don't slow down. I just wash them up. If you turn over enough of them, they'll start staying out of your way.
They're like bowling pins for Mike.
Yeah.
no, I respect their right to be on the water as well. I'm just concerned for their safety, and
Hey, I've got a new game.
I
A new game.
A point system.
That's it. How many of them can you flip with one boat weight?
no.
The phone lines are going to light up.
No. But I do want them to understand. Hey, look, there's some big rigs running around here, and 250 horsepower is a lot of horsepower.
Exactly.
Back to night fishing.
Yeah, one of the most popular baits for years, and Mike, we all relate to this, is, a big bladed spinner bait has been one thing, 10 and 12 inch worms. But another bait that's really come on?
What color spinnerbait?
I always go black and red.
What about you, Mike?
Black.
Purple.
Black and
Purple
blue.
on
Purple's
Bistineau
good.
used to be unreal.
But you know what? Another new bait that we ain't really talked about. Chatterbait is really popular
At
now.
night,
I bet.
I bet with that
can see
vibration.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to get one of the experts' opinion on this.
Yeah.
He's left us, passed on a number of years ago, but the bass professor, Doug Hannon, on night fishing.
We've always said that bass are more active during the middle of the day, and a lot of people find that they enjoy night fishing. And one of the reasons that night fishing is productive is you have to realize how imperfect our approach to fish is. And the fact is, when there's activity and when there's a lot of light, the fish can see, one, your activity, perceive that they're being pursued. They can also see the errors in your presentation. They can see the line. They can see how crude the action of your lures is. They can see how unnatural the colors on your lures are. And all of those things come into play. So we've always said when you're fishing in the middle of the day, when the big fish are active, you need to get very realistic, and you need to have natural motion, natural look, natural action, and you need to be quiet. You need to turn that trolling motor down to a very low, steady speed. You need to turn that depth sounder off. All the signs that are us need to go away. If you're sitting in one place, instead of holding with a trolling motor, anchor. The fish forget you're there. You're not putting commotion in the water. At night, these rules change, okay, because bass, under the cloak of darkness, have a lot more security. They don't feel as threatened. They don't feel as visible. And so when fish are savvy, which most of them are in most of the waters we fish, night fishing can be productive simply because it covers up our errors, and it makes it easier for us to fool the bass because the bass don't have as good a look at it. And you have to also understand that bass have expectations. When they strike something during the day and they got really good visual acuity, they want to see it. They want to reinforce it. At night, they're more apt to say, well, I can't really see that thing. There's some activity there, and they accept it for what it is before that's converted to anything really totally natural. They'll just strike at action. You also have to realize that they don't see things like color. Our color vision goes down at night, so, and you'll see it when you walk out at night. You don't see especially the reds. That's the first thing to drop out, and the last thing is the blues. So, moonlight looks kind of bluish to us, and colors go away. We don't see the green in trees. You think about it, they're just black. So the best color you can have is black because it's the strongest color, because it creates the darkest, most contrasting, because there is light. Even on a starlit sky, there's a slight gray. You'll reel your lure in and you'll pick it up to see how far it's hanging off the end of your rod to cast it again. And what do? You hold that up to the sky, and you can almost always see it. So if you realize that fish can't see color, you need to make the strongest presentation to them, which is black. Okay, and you also need to strike yourself into areas where fish can see better. If you've got dock lights on a dock, one, it usually indicates that people are out there fishing, so they got feeders and brush piles off their dock, but it also gives you the sense that bass can see into that world, and if they back off into the dark, because the light has very limited penetration, then they can look into the light and they can feed. Also, light-colored boathouses and docks that are often painted white will strike up in a little bit of moonlight a great big, like a drive-in movie screen that fish can silhouette against. So, you look for the cover that's next to those things. And very often, if you really think dark and you think of how you can see at night and look at the things that you can see, and it really becomes quite simple. We see a lot less in the dark, so find the things you can see and fish around them, and you'll be fishing where the big fish are.
That's the bass professor, Doug Hannon, and obviously he says, black and some other great pointers there if you're going to do some night fishing. Now, I'm going to say that, one of the things we didn't mention earlier, these 10 to 12-inch worms. Mr. Twister has a brand-new 12-inch worm with just a regular old twister tail on the end of it, a great-bodied worm. I took it over to Lake Fork in the Skeeter Owners Tournament over there, caught a gazillion fish on it, just didn't catch the over that I was looking for. But I'm telling you, that particular worm. Now you got to understand one thing, and this is something that I didn't know until I was talking to you two guys one day. You got to make sure that you've got a heavy enough of a weight when you're fishing one of those worms, or it won't impart the action that you want it to. You throw a 12-inch worm on a quarter-ounce weight, it's not going to do what it will do on a half-ounce weight.
Right.
And, you
kill the action.
You do. You kill the action.
Yeah, you're right.
And so I think that, that's also, there's a great argument for probing around in the depths like that, especially around some of those brush tops he's talking about.
Okay. And one more thing. We're about out of time, but steadiness at night in a retrieve. Since a bass cannot see as well, they still see well enough to strike.
Mm-hmm.
Things with a steady retrieve, so they can hone in on it and not miss it. I wouldn't go out there and throw like a Zaraspook, something side dart, because they may miss it.
Right.
But a buzzbait, steady retrieve. The whopper plopper, steady retrieve.
Right.
Spinnerbait, steady retrieve. I think you won't miss as many fish on a bait like that.
Chatterbait.
One of the best stringers of fish I ever saw on Lake Merval, Reeves Field, a former writer for the Shreveport Times, sports writer, said it was, at that time, the heaviest stringer that he had ever weighed. My buddy Charles Deal, Matt Deal, weighed in 5 fish, weighed, I want to say it was 35 or 36 pounds at that time. Every one of them he caught on a crankbait off of one brush top at the end of a pier.
Wow.
On a crankbait at night. Unbelievable. Sit tight. Johnny Geis is talking Lake Fork. That's next. Hook it up, track it down, 11:30. The Tiger.
Better for their daughters. Hope they'll settle down with a doctor or a lawyer.
You're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, Louisiana Coastal Conservation, and Redneck Reflections Taxidermy, making sure your catch of a lifetime is preserved forever. Once again, here's Steve, Gary, Mike, and Jay.
Hi, we are hooking up and tracking down, and proud that United Rentals is one of our sponsors. They're your one-stop shop for all your rental tools and equipment needs. Services like custom on-site solutions, online management tools that will simplify and save you money on any and all your projects, with online services and equipment protection plans that will make your job easier and safer. United Rentals will make sure your rental equipment is used effectively and efficiently so that you can get the most out of your rental time. Go to UnitedRentals.com to find a dealer near you. United Rentals, the largest rental company in the world. Thank you, David Duschel and the gang at United Rentals.
Yep.
And Johnny Geis is catching them right now. Just had one just a minute ago, almost 7 pounds. You're already ripping them, aren't you?
Yes, sir. We're having a great morning again. It's turned on Lake Fork.
So tell me now, one of the things that that Graf and I were talking about a minute ago with Tropical Storm Cindy moving in, what will that do? Is that really going to crank them up before it all starts hitting that area, or are you guys not going to see any effect?
I'm not so sure we're going to get as much of it as, of course, obviously, as y'all will get. But I'm not going to be out in it if it's bad, windy, and thunder and lightning. But hey, the fishing's settling in for the summer pattern right now, and a lot of people catching good fish. But it's not all day long. I tell you, yesterday afternoon, I said we're going to fish through the major feeding period. They had the same app that I got because we caught 22 bass in 2 hours and never moved the boat. It was unbelievable.
Wow. Now, when you pull up to a spot like that, I mean, you know, you put that much confidence in that app. Which app is it that you use?
It's iSolunar, ISOLUNAR, and I've been using it for a couple of years. Steve remembers one time he went a few years ago. I had my alarm set. When the alarm went off, all three of the girls there in the boat, they all caught a big fish at the same time. So,
yeah, I mean, I believe in this. It's so accurate that we use it on our best times to fish every week now.
Okay, so my question for you is there I mean, every day is there proof that Solinar table truly is something to be reckoned with?
You know, I say all the time, there's nothing absolute fishing. So no, not every day, and weather patterns will change. But boat pressure, fishing pressure will affect it. But when it gets in a pattern like it is now, and you can just pretty much set your clock by it. We had half day yesterday, and the guys got a half day this morning, and I told them instead of waiting for the afternoon, we're going to have a major feeding from 9 to 11:30. And we've got 9 real nice bass in the boat already, and still hadn't moved the boat. So
wow.
Yeah.
We're going to hit another couple of holes and fish through this major feed period, and I don't expect to bite again to about 5:15, 5:30 this afternoon. They'll bite again.
Wow.
So
okay.
It's that good.
What's the average depth you're catching fish in right now?
19 to 25. I'm sitting right out here down by the dam, right out by the Sabine River Authority, and usually they get in this hole for 4th of July. I checked it 2 days ago, and caught 14 out of it. Yesterday was 22 out of it, and 9 today, and they'll just you'll have some dead periods, but once it turns on, there's shad everywhere, and the bass are chomping. So
yeah, what?
It's just fun.
John, you using the brim, or are you using black salties? What are you throwing?
No, I've been catching mainly on bluegill lately. When we run out of bait yesterday, I picked up a V&M 3/4 ounce football jig and drug it and caught a couple that way, and they're biting that. A lot of the guys are just whacking them too late in the afternoon, and they're using the V&M jig 3/4 ounce and a big 3/4 ounce shaky head with a big worm on it. So
now, Johnny,
yeah.
We know at night you're going to be at home with mama, but, there are a lot of guys, that, especially this time of year, June, July, August, that like to get out there at night. And what are some of the guys that do guide at night? What are the main techniques that they're using to catch fish at night?
They usually pull I would say probably the 10-inch power worm is probably the mainstay of it. I heard you mention the whopper flopper. That's a great, that kind of takes place of the jitterbug, but the forks are great night fishing lake, and there's a couple guys that do nothing but that, and they catch probably a lot more 10-pounders at night in the summertime than we do during the daytime. But hey, there's still shallow fish Saturday and Sunday, and my son was in Arkansas and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to fish artificials." And we caught 15 Saturday, and Sunday we had 17. I had an 8.70 was over the spot, 24.5 inches long, on a swim jig in 4 foot of water.
Wow.
In Glade and Running Creek. So when it just gets right, it's right. And we got that spell going on right now, and I expect it to last at least through mid-July.
Those deep water fish, do they bite at night, you think?
I think everybody kind of goes up shallow. I'm not an expert on it. The green light phenomenon around here has attracted a lot more night fishermen, and you can just run a green light pattern and catch some good fish, and that's probably a more consistent way to do it right now. And that probably 10 or 15 foot the deepest green lights we'll have on the water. But you just got to see where the bait is and where the fish are related to the bait. That you find the shad and the brim, you're going to find the bass.
Well, Johnny, I can remember talking to old Robert Beeson down on Toledo, and him telling me that some incredible strings that he caught out in the deep water, the same wormholes they fish during the day, down there on Toledo. He fished at night and caught some incredible stringers. So the answer to that, yeah, and you probably have more fish to yourself if you fish deep at night.
Yeah, more than likely. It's not really crowded for night fishing, but again, everybody be sure if they do that, they use the safety precautions. Game warden, they're out at night here on Fork, and they want to be sure they got all the proper lights and running safe when it does get dark.
You know what? One thing occurs to me, Johnny, is that I think it was the last time that we talked. You said that the white bass had kind of disappeared. Have they shown back up?
They have not. It was probably 10 or 12 days ago now, right after a big rain. They disappeared, and I fished for now since that day and caught one white bass. And I was on them as good as anybody. They were all over the lake. They were in real good feeding areas that I could go to and just catch 75 or 100 of those with bass mixed in with them. And they decided to get up and somewhere on this lake, and I have looked and looked and looked, and I've asked everybody, and nobody seems to catch a white bass right now.
Wow. Well, you know, June is one of the biggest months for the catfish spawn. And when we were there, we managed to catch 4, 5, 6 really nice catfish.
Almost in a row.
Are you still seeing those show up?
Well, I've got 2 catfish guide buddies, and they're catching limits of 4 or 5 people in about 2 hours right now. But they're baiting the holes with the range cube, and they're catching 25, 28 foot of water. So they are spawning because they are shallow. I mean, I caught a couple on the swim jig the other day, this weekend while we was fishing shallow water. But they seem to be all over the lake right now, and I catch some on my live bluegill, or especially when I cut the heads off. So
go back to the range cube, baiting catfish with range cubes.
Yeah, if you take a 50-pound bag of range cubes, just regular feed, 20% protein, the higher protein, what they tell me, and you go out and you just pour it out of the boat and come back the next day and get ready to catch fish. It's that quick. You don't even have to wait a full day sometimes.
Really?
I wonder if that attracts bass too.
Well, I know it attracts brim because I know brim love cottonseed meal.
Yeah.
It will, but Dave Longer, he's one of my buddies that does that, and he's got several places baited, and he says there'll be a bass or two come through and grab their stuff every once in a while, but mainly that catfish bait, he doesn't catch many on that, obviously. But, man, I can't believe how many catfish he has to do every day. And then Stubby's catfish bait, Stubby Bell, he's a guide here, and he's got a different kind of bait, and man, they'll eat it up too. So I'll resort to that every once in a while if we don't have to clean it.
If somebody was just coming over there to look for, a number of fish, they wanted to catch, 30 bass in the day. How would you take them on that trip? Where would you go to catch 30?
Dinks.
I would do both. We'd start out at daylight or right before daylight, get up shallow, and get that early morning bite to about 9 or 10 o'clock, and then I would go deep. I can, we had 22 and a half day yesterday, and just knocked off. We were out of bait, so probably could squeeze out enough to get 30 yesterday because they were biting. But they're starting to have some schooling activity under our bridges, and that's always a way to rack up some numbers too.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pull up there in the shade, and I pulled under the 154 bridge a couple of days ago and was dialing through to head somewhere else, and they came up schooling a couple of pillars down, and we caught some of those fish right there. So whether you want big ones or little ones, I always ask the customer, what's your favorite way to fish and what do you want to catch today? But most everybody wants to come catch these old big bass, and we can catch 2 or 3 over 6.5, 7.5 pounds just about every day, and up to 9.5 is the biggest one we've got on.
Tell me this: do you think that Florida bass are less inclined to school than the old Northerns were?
Yeah, I really do, because it takes I always ask why didn't Kepler have schooling fish, but it takes more than one fish in a group to have a school. but we got that over here, and when we see schooling activity here, it's in the fall when they really come up and start chasing shad. But I remember in the old days, Lake Bistineau had some old schooling holes, Black Lake had old schooling holes.
Toledo Bend?
You could just go to those specific areas, but there wasn't real big fish, didn't seem like. It seemed like there were more of a young of the year class fast, and Bistineau used to have some real good bigger school fish, but they're not real consistent.
Well, I'm glad we brought this schooling deal up, because one of the factors on Toledo Bend, a lot of people are questioning what's happened to the school bass at Toledo Bend. They're not schooling like they used to.
I think it's because of the infusion of the Northerns. I mean, you don't see Caddo Lake used to have some of the best schools of anywhere I've ever been. And
you mean the Floridas?
The Floridas. I just don't think they school like the Northerns did.
But when we talked before, Mike didn't think it was that bigger percentage of fish in the lake were Floridas.
Well, the biologists tell you that even on Caddo Lake, that's had Florida's introduced to it for 30 or 40 years, more than any other lake, they'll tell you that only about 15 or 20% of the fish there are Floridas. I don't know whether they mean pure strain Florida,
Yeah,
you know,
they do.
and then
They do.
and then but 50% of the others have some Florida.
A hybrid,
Yeah.
All right, Johnny.
A lot more pressure too, and I think that cuts down on your schooling activity. With the good electronics, there's a lot of people in the good old schooling spots.
Yeah,
So
that's
true about that. You used to have those places to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, if somebody's wanting to come stick one of those big old pigs you got there in Lake Fork, what do we do?
Just give me a call, 972-800-3882. Area code 972-800-3882. And my website is lakeforkbigfish.com. And just watch your post today and see these big fish we're going to put on there from these guys. They've had 2 fun days, and we're going to finish it up here about 12:30 with a few more. So.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah.
What a great trip. Hey, let me tell you what. If you got a senior that's graduating this year, what a great summer trip to take them on. You know, to be able to usher them off into college. Go spend the day with Johnny. Learn a little bit about that. Johnny Geis, thank you, my brother. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
At HUTD, we love to be social, so check out our Facebook page at Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show for outdoors news and some interesting as well as educational outdoor videos. This segment presented by Toledo Town and Tackle, United Rentals, Santone Lures, and Lake Fork guide Johnny Geis. For a great day on the water with Johnny Geis, go to lakeforkbigfish.com and schedule your next fishing getaway. Take it away, guys. Just can't get enough of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show? Tune in Saturday mornings from 6 till 8 for more news from the great outdoors with Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the Dink Master himself, Steve Graff. These guys are full of great information that's guaranteed to make you a better hunter or fisherman. So tune in from 6 till 8 Saturday mornings right here on 1130 The Tiger, the home of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show.
Okie dokie. I don't know if you're aware, but yesterday evening, they had rescheduled from last week, but yesterday evening at the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries office, the Minden office there on Highway 80, there was a big meeting. Secretary Jack Monisette was there. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Assistant the Assistant Secretary, Patrick Banks, was there, and they were discussing the Salvinia issue in Lake Bistineau. And thank you, Mike Eccles. Mike has gotten us lined up with Assistant Secretary Patrick Banks, who's on the phone right now. Hello, sir.
How you doing, fellas? I appreciate you having me.
We're wonderful. We have figured out, Eccles says that all you've got to do is convince a bunch of these early 20-year-old people that salvinia is really good to smoke, and we'll have this thing cleared out in the course of the next year.
Well, I don't know that I can convince them of that, but if you can, then go ahead.
We got a problem, brother.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's a terrible problem, and what's even worse is it's not just a problem on Lake Bistineau.
No.
It's a problem in most of our flooded swamp lakes and some of our reservoirs, as well as in some of our freshwater coastal marshes. We're fighting this plant all over the state.
Patrick, I came across Black Lake Bridge the other day, and I mean, it was as far as the eye, because you couldn't even see water. I was amazed.
Well, it is. It's an amazing plant. As a biologist, I will have to say I have to tip my hat to the plant. It's to watch it work and to realize what an incredible species it is, and that enables it to outperform anything else on the lake and any other life form on the lake, and really outperform any kind of management measures we put forth. It's truly amazing. But of course, that doesn't give anybody any solace, and we're fighting as hard as we can. We've got a lot of different things in play. We heard a lot of really good information and good ideas last night at the meeting, and so I'm encouraged, and some of the folks up there are encouraged. Our own staff is working hard, as you guys noted the last time I talked to you. Those guys work extremely hard. They have a good plan in place, and we can add to that plan with some good ideas we heard last night.
Patrick, Mike Eccles here. Thank you. It's you being a biologist. I mean, that's a step in the right direction to answering questions, and not a. And I'm not trying to be ugly, not just a politician. So we value your opinion. Is it possible at all for somebody to develop a product that will create like a virus that will attach itself, and I know there's a term for that, but something that we can inject into the environment, the salvinia, to where it will grow and infect just the salvinia and expand? Because until we learn to come up with something that will grow and spread within the problem, all we're doing is able to kill a certain percent that we can reach. Is that even a chemically a feasibility, a possibility?
I think that it is. We are fairly early on in the fight against salvinia, so the research is really, really young. But there are folks doing research on this issue. We've got a lot of research going on with the weevils, which is biological control, exactly what you're talking about. We have some researchers over in Mississippi that are researching fungicide to attack the issue. But unfortunately, there's really not a silver bullet that's been identified from the research community quite yet. But the work is ongoing, as you well know. You can research things for years and years and years and really never come up with a solution, cancer being one of them. And so I certainly hope that's not the situation here, but the research is ongoing, and directly to your point, it is possible. It just has not been found quite yet.
Well, I don't want to start rumors or anything, but the rumor
I don't mind.
The rumor that I've heard is that because they're afraid they might have a shortage of salvinia if this stuff. That if you take the salvinia out, it kills fire ants. That is there any truth to? I mean, maybe we've got a real fire ant killer
controller.
Right? You think maybe people might start. You wouldn't have a problem if somebody just wanted to take some out of the lake, would you?
Not at all. I encourage anybody to take it out of the lake, but please don't put it in any other water body. Just put it on your fire ant mound.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick. Let me ask you: have we totally ruled out that there is any use for this product, or is this like the second most useless thing to ever hit the face of the earth?
Well,
I mean, a cow will not eat it. That pretty well tells you that.
Yeah.
That is, and as a matter of fact, there's very few things out there that will eat it. We've got an invasive apple snail problem in South Louisiana, and as we can tell, even the apple snail will choose to eat anything else. And only resort to eating salvinia as a last resort. And so
So, in other words, the salvinia is equal to Steve Graff's cooking.
Wait a minute, I'm a pretty good cook now.
Goodness gracious.
hey, the other thing too. My question is with the weevils. Can they eat enough of it fast enough? As fast as this stuff reproduces, I mean, you can almost sit there and watch it multiply. Can the weevils keep up with that kind of reproduction?
Well, in some cases they can. In a lot of cases, we have not found that good a success yet. But the idea is that we can't seem to keep enough weevils in the high enough densities to really put a big dent in it in Lake Bistineau. Now, we have seen some value to weevils in some other water bodies like Ayat Lake and a little bit in Toledo Bend. And the thought is that the weevils are at such high densities in those locations, they're able to help with that issue. And so we're hoping to get eventually to that point with Lake Bistineau, but we just haven't gotten there yet.
Last night's meeting there at the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries office in Minden, you said that you found a little bit of encouragement. What would you say would be the highlight of that encouragement?
Well, it's certainly the weevil situation that we found in Ayat Lake further to the south this past year gives us some encouragement that maybe the density of weevils is at such a level there that it's keeping the salvinia under control, or maybe those weevils are part of a cold tolerance that is being built up in those animals year after year after year, such that we have more and more survive during the wintertime. And so as part of that encouragement, we're moving some of those weevils to Bistineau, and we're having a Weevil Day this coming Saturday where we encourage folks to come to the state park, the Bistineau State Park, and grab a couple of sacks of salvinia weevils from us and go and put them out in the lake and see if we can't continue to stock weevils in Lake Bistineau, and hopefully that will give us a little bit of help.
Is that an all-day affair, or is there a specified time that people need to show up?
That's a good question. It's a specified time. We're asking folks to show up between 10 in the morning and noon, and we're also asking folks to sign up beforehand so that we can make sure that we bring enough weevils for everybody. So if you get in touch with your friend Kevin Houston there at our office, khouston@wls.la.gov, you can sign up, and we'll have your name on the list, and we'll make sure that we have enough weevils for everybody who's interested.
That's really encouraging, especially if you get them, distributed throughout the course of the lake. Now, that was just one leg of the plan. What would you say is the remainder of Wildlife and Fisheries plan, not just for Bistineau, but for the salvinia as a whole?
Well, and I'd say the main part of the plan are things that we've been doing already, and that's a combination of spraying, weevil introduction, and drawdowns. And we feel like that three-pronged approach is really the best way to attack this problem and manage it as best we can. Now, that's not to say that there's not other great ideas out there, because there certainly are, but we need to stick with that three-pronged approach for a few years and really identify the best, the best balance of those three things and what works the best. But there's other ideas out there, including more use of booms. There's some ideas about thinning out some of the timber in some of the areas and seeing if that won't help. I think we'd have to take that approach very slowly and maybe do some test plots before we were to expand that. But there's other great ideas out there, and we heard a lot of those last night. The folks were very open about other ideas, and we want to look into those ideas.
10 to noon this Saturday, Lake Bistineau State Park. You need to sign up before you get there. I'll give you Kevin Houston's email address if you want to text me and get you in touch with him so that they can have a record of that and get those weevils put out across the lake. And hopefully, we've got a weevil that is a little more cold tolerant and could make it through. Because, brother, I'm telling you, this is a situation where, especially those landowners right there around Lake Bistineau, they're scared. They could be losing the lake.
Well, the value of their property goes down.
Yeah.
No doubt, and that's a big concern. We have a concern for all the users of the lake. The fishermen, the recreators, the landowners. We want to try to get the maximum use out of the lake for all of those folks, and they all have a voice. We heard a lot of those voices last night, and we're doing what we can. We're attacking this problem with everything we have, and we'll continue to do so until we find some success.
Thank you for your time, Patrick. We really value the relationship that we've developed with you and with Secretary Jack Monisset. You guys have been really forthcoming with all the information and as many answers as you have available to you.
Well, we appreciate the time, and we appreciate you guys giving us a voice up in North Louisiana. We spent the last 2 days up there, just flew down this morning before the storm hit, and really enjoyed being up there with you guys.
Thank you, sir. We
Thank you,
are
Patrick. Appreciate it.
hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
That's right, it's hour number 2 of the best outdoor show on radio, Hooking Up and Tracking Down. This segment presented by Ranger Boats, the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash Series, along with Despino and Jim's Big South Tire, helping you reach all your outdoor destinations with quality tires. Now back to Jay Watley, Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and the Dink Master himself, Steve Graff.
And on the phone with us, fresh off his win from the BASS Central Open number 2 on the Sabine River, Bassmaster Pro Carl Swayback. And Carl, welcome back to fishing. What a great way you steal the gold in that first little trip back.
Well, I tell you, I've been on cloud nine. It's just been an incredible week, and you fished a long time. I mean, we've so many good fishermen out there, and you just never know when that day is going to come. And I tell you, I couldn't be happier right now. It's been an incredible week, one I'll never forget.
Carl, Steve Graff here. Thank you for being with us again. I mean, you go way back, and Carl, the thing I want, the thing, we
you've been taking his money for years.
Yeah, exactly. I've been donating to Carl for a long time. The thing about it, Carl, and we've talked about it on this show, and we've talked to a lot of the Bassmaster Elite Series guys and FLW guys. When it's your turn, it is your turn. Did you just feel like that this weekend?
Steve, I couldn't say it any better. It was kind of a strange week, so to speak. I mean, it was one of those deals where I just had a calm, and I don't know, I just felt good and confident in what I was doing. From the time that I found those fish, I mean, there was a lot of stress. I mean, in that part of the country, it's unlike fishing a Rayburn or Toledo Bend or one of the many lakes that y'all have there in Louisiana. I mean, it was one of those deals that it's like a maze. I mean, it's there's a lot of water. A lot of the water that you see on your maps and all is not fishable, or you have to fight to get in it. So I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I didn't know exactly where to even start. But once I got out there a few days, I felt real confident. I was at ease with myself, and I fished really clean, and I never really even thought about the possibilities of winning. It just happened. So to answer your question, yes, I think sometimes it's safe to say when it's your turn, and you just never know when that's going to be, and of course, it gives you a ton of confidence leading into your future. And like I said before, I just couldn't be happier.
Hey, Carl, Mike Eccles here, and I met you years ago through a very dear mutual friend of both of us, Rob Horn, and but you had a career, you fished professionally, and you had plenty of success. But then you've kind of faded out of fishing. But you've done something now that you just don't see that often, for somebody to start, quit, and then make a comeback? What prompted you? What triggered you to say, I'm going to make another run at it?
Well, I think a lot of it is a result of being 6, 7, 8 years old and fishing Toledo Bend. I'm originally as a kid, grew up in central Louisiana and fishing the river, Cane River, Coattail, Kincaid, Clico, all those lakes with my dad. I mean, and it was fishing at that time. It just got into my blood, and I did. I had a very a career in the bass as well as the FLW tour that I was on for 13 years or so, and it was an unbelievable experience. I got to do some wonderful things. I co-hosted a TV show out of Florida called All About Fishing for 4 or 5 years, and got to go to Brazil, got to film shows, I got to compete in the ESPN Great Outdoor Games up in New York. So it was a great experience. But I reached a point in about 2009 where I had, a lot of things going on in my life. My kids were at that age where they were, in high school, had missed out on so much of, of their events and the things that they had in school. I'd had a title sponsor for so long, Castrol, and they were at a point where they were ready to, to start getting out of the fishing industry. And it was just time for me. I thought, I'm just going to have to get out. It's just my time. I mean, I enjoyed it and move on to the next chapter in my life. But little did I know there, because of my past and those fishing trips and all those lakes with my dad, that it's a lot easier said than done. January would roll around and I would be thinking about, tournaments that they were having at Okeechobee in Florida, and June would roll around and, I was missing it. I was having a hard time, and I got out of it cold turkey. Basically didn't even own a boat. I sold everything I had for the most part, and just thought it was something that I never could do before. So, with that said, it makes it even more special to now be back after 7.5 years doing what I truly love to do. And I think that we're all set on this earth for something, and I think the good Lord wants to see me out there on the water, and I'm sure glad for it, because it's my happy place, no doubt.
Carl, you mentioned a minute ago, and I want to backtrack a little bit, when you said,
sure,
I found the fish. And everybody, all three of us are tournament anglers. You're, one of the cream of the crop. But I have found over the years that found the fish is one of the most relative terms that's out there. Because for one guy, it takes X number of fish in a certain amount of time and a certain amount of area running, a certain pattern before he says, I found the fish. It takes somebody else, another set of qualifiers, to be found the fish. For Carl Swayback to be able to say, I found the fish, what does that mean?
Well, that's just an absolute awesome question, because like I said before, the Sabine River just fished so different. There's so many good fishermen out there today. There's so many good techniques. There's not many secrets anymore, and there's very seldom do you see that there's holes. Where you have your honey holes, and when you look at these lakes, I mean, you have to go out and pattern the fish. Well, the Sabine River was a little bit different. I mean, finding them was the key, because when you found fish, it was really a real confined area, and you were going to catch a lot of them. And so I guess what I'm meaning there is that I worked awfully hard for this one, and I can tell you the area that I fished before the off limits, before the official practice, I trolled for 4 hours. I went through 2 sets of batteries, just by going by GPS and things that looked appealing to me, on the Google Earth, and I found that magical place, and I can't say that I've done that very often in my career,
Well, Carl,
but I did.
The thing too that again, as I talked to you yesterday, visiting with Matt Hare in the Elite Series Pro, said if you want to catch 12 inchers, come to Sabine River. They're everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It's getting that 3-pounder in the boat. He said that's the guys that are going to win this event. Whoever can get that 2 or 3-pounders in the boat will actually win this event. So you found that group of fish, right?
Well, I did. But I honestly, I did find a big group of fish, but I did not catch many during practice. And to your point, when I did get to this lake I found, I caught 5 fish in 15 minutes, and I left, and that's all I knew. But the thing is that 2 of those fish, one was in 3.5-pound range, one was in a 3-pound range. I had a 2.5-pounder and 2 little ones, but it just told me that there's something to it, that there's some quality fish.
Mm-hmm.
And my mindset was, if I can get 2 of those a day, I'm going to be in good shape. And I had no idea. I had no idea. I in my mind, I thought, well, when I get there, I'm going to fish my 8-hour day, and hopefully I'm going to catch 7, 8, or 9 fish, and 5 of those are going to be the right ones.
Right.
Well, it was a surprise to me because I started in that area on day 1, and of course, I had to go on plane. There were so many variables because I was running in 1.2 to 1.4 foot of water for miles, and I knew that I had to get there without any stalling outs or anything else, or I was stuck. But once I got in there, I put the trolling motor down. I want to say my second or third cast, I caught a little keeper. In 8 minutes, I had a limit, and I thought, man, this is kind of unusual. I turned the boat around. It was a point of, a millful and mix of lily pads, and my partner had told me I literally made 20 casts and caught 20 fish, and I thought, man, this is unbelievable. I had no idea. Now, a lot of those fish were small, but in the mix were a couple of 2.5-pounders, So I was busy on the Collins, and I'd never expected it. And I not doc talk, but it's true honesty. I got asked, did you catch a lot of fish? And I did. If I had to guess, and I thought about it a bunch, over the 3-day span, I caught between 250 and 300 fish. And it was unreal. It really was. I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe that a place that I went in and caught 5 fish, that it had that many fish in. I don't understand it. I really can't pinpoint. I guess I may not be smart enough to really know why there were so many fish in that area. But you could go to the numerous lakes that were around it, and you would catch a few, but you would never come close to catching those numbers that were in that one, that one little lake.
And the crazy part about that is, you could go back in a month and not get a bite in that same place.
That's right. That's so true. It's amazing, and
well, another thing.
Timing. There's so many variables. We got a tropical storm coming in now, and it's like, man, the scheduling of this tournament could be any picture perfect. So,
exactly.
When it's your time, I guess it's your time.
And another thing, too, you alluded to earlier, you ran how far in 1.5 feet of water? The average angler is not going to do that.
Ain't going to do that.
Carl, you had to know that I'm good as long as I don't back off here. I can stay on pad and get in there.
You were running. Your pucker factor on the rectal scale was at least a 10 for, I know, the better part of 20 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you're exactly right. Every day, and to see the expressions on my partner's face was just comical, to say the least.
Now, how much does the tide? Does the tide get in that far where you were at, Carl? Does the tide affect you at all?
It does, and it worried me. One of the biggest things was, once I got to the lake, and once I ran all that shallow water, going through these reeds and everything else, how do I get out? I got to be able to get on plane. You
Yeah.
can't get on plane in 1.4 foot of water. So I surged, and like I said, probably over an hour to try to find a little bit deeper water. And it would fluctuate. There were some 1.8 and then 1.4 and then you'd see 1.9, and I needed to find at least a little over 2 foot of water so I could get my boat up. And there again, it was just one of those storybook picture perfect deals. I found a lake that was probably, I'm going to say, a half a mile from where I was fishing, and it had a little chute in between some reeds, and in between that chute, it was 2.4 foot of water for about, I'm going to guess, about 10 or 15 yards, and it was just enough for me to get the boat on plane where I could get out of there. Otherwise, there's no way of getting out.
That is crazy.
Wow. Dude, when you said it's your time to win,
it's your time.
It was your time to win.
Good gosh.
Oh, I'm telling you, you think, man, how in the world did all that transpire? I had no idea, but yeah, I found a little place to get out. I remember I had gone back before Off Limits the day that I caught 5 in practice. I had my son with me. He's 14, and we had gone back and we found that place. We got it on plane, and of course, when we got back out to the to the river, I mean, we just stopped and hugged and started high fiving. Daddy, you're going to be able to get out of there. So that felt pretty good, and it was just it's just a storybook, and I just couldn't be happier.
Well, congratulations and welcome back to BASS, Carl Swayback.
Well, looking forward to seeing you at the Classic.
So much. Absolutely. That was one of the things that I guess I don't know if it got to me emotionally more than anything was, going to the Classic. I mean, that's a huge, huge opportunity. It's something I dreamed about since I was 7 or 8 years old. And, it's just a dream come true for me. And I'm having a great time and enjoying it. Got a lot to look forward to.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you so much, Carl.
You bet. Well, thank you, guys, and I certainly appreciate y'all.
All right.
Carl Swayback, recent winner of the BASS Central Open #2 on the Sabine River, and sit tight. Our private eye, Mike Eccles, has been on the prowl,
yes,
trying to line up all the details of the ins and outs, the outdoor outlaw-ishness going on Toledo Bend.
Jay, we'll need some CSI music.
Exactly. That's next. Hook it up, track it down, 11:30, The Tiger.
Folks, our show would not be possible without our fine board op, Jay Wadley, who does a great job of pushing all the right buttons and producing this show. This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Red River Waterway Commission, Seaguard Fishing Line, and United Rentals, making all your home projects easier by providing great equipment and tools to get the job done. How about it, guys?
Gary McCoy, along with the Ranger Pro staffer Steve Graff, the old mud hen Mike Eccles, and little topwater Jay Bird Watley is mashing all the buttons today. And Eccles you've put on your detective cap,
my hat and pipe and
Sherlock
Holmes,
Sherlock Eccles.
Yeah, they've
been on it.
Boy, that ought to turn the folks on. Actually, what happened, I got this article out of Louisiana Sportsman Magazine, part of an article that, and just to sum it up, June the 12th, down on Toledo Bend in the Negrete area, that's below Pendleton Bridge, there was a man and his wife in a boat fishing a crappie top that apparently they had found. And the guide or the individual that put the top out came up, and an argument ensued where the guide or angler told them they needed to leave. And that's really all I know for sure, but that didn't stop me from, my motto, never let the lack of facts get in the way of telling a good story.
There you go.
So what I understand and have kind of made up is they got in an argument. The guy told the angler that his wife was fat and ugly. The guy in the boat pulled a pistol. The guy pulled a pistol. Shots were fired. A bald eagle was hit in the air by accident and landed in the water, and the National Guard was called in.
And the wife really is ugly.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. But somebody said, well, we need to get to the bottom of this. So I was fortunate enough to get Sergeant Andrew Mitchell from Wildlife and Fisheries, District 3, I believe, on, and he's going to wash out all the stuff I've just said by telling us what actually happened down on Toledo, June the 12th. How you doing, Sergeant Mitchell?
Doing okay. I believe you got the date right. That's about all.
Hey, I don't even shoot for that much. What took place down there? First off, let's kind of back up just a second. We do have a problem that is actually growing with people fishing spots, and because of the amount of guides on down on Toledo Bend putting tops out on for crappie. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is right. We're having a numerous amount of complaints coming in this year over that.
Hey, Sergeant, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
We're having a real hard time hearing you. Can you?
Can you hear me now? I'm on a landline.
Okay.
Huh.
It's real low, real low. So.
Well, we're just going to continue with the story then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. Do you go ahead and tell us what happened on June 12th?
Okay, well, on this particular day, what we had was, like you said, a bass boat sitting on a crappie top, man and his wife. It's approximately 45 minutes to an hour had passed, and a guide with his guest approached him and tried to make him leave that particular spot because he was trying to claim that particular spot, and he was guiding on this day, and he wanted to be able to fish this spot. But after an argument ensued, the male subject that was originally there first did pull a firearm and threaten the guy if he didn't leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, both parties departed the scene and contacted 911.
Okay, now, because we were a little bit, it was kind of hard to hear. Who pulled the pistol? Was it the guide, or was it the parties who were fishing when the guide approached?
Correct. It was the parties that was already there.
Okay.
The male and female that had been fishing that spot for about 45 minutes.
Okay. So we've got an issue here where obviously it's never right to pull the pistol. But if let's just say there had not been a pistol, or I don't know, the firearm, if the firearm had not been pulled, how would you advise anyone else who was in that situation? What would have been the proper way to handle that?
I'm glad you asked that because we've been trying to spread the word on this. we've been instructing people. Everybody has cell phones. Video the conflict. If you're approached by someone, whether it's a guide or not, if you're approached by someone and they begin telling you that you can't fish in a certain area, by all means, please pull your cell phone out and video the conflict. Number one, that's evidence. Number two, it seems when you go to video and everything, people seem to calm down, and it makes things a little bit easier once they realize that they're on video. We asked everybody to do that, and if they could, if you have to, leave the area, contact 911.
Right.
We don't ask anybody to stay in harm's way if they feel like they would be, harmed during the situation.
Certainly. In that particular situation, something else that might need to be spread is there a rightful owner of that top when that top is placed in that public body of water?
It is not. What I always try to reference top to is if you take a wildlife management area and you have a hunting spot, you can't claim that hunting spot. Just like on Toledo Bend Lake, it's a public lake. Put tops out, you cannot claim that spot. That is on public waters at that point. And if someone happens to be fishing it, you definitely can't approach them in attempts to make them leave that spot.
Is there, like in bass tournaments, we have encroachment rules where, I can't come up too close to another competitor in that particular tournament.
Within 50 feet of an anchored boat.
Is there any kind of law about encroachment when you're not fishing a tournament? I'm fishing a top. Could the guide and the guide party have just come up and fished the other side of the top, nearly boat to boat?
Correct. He could have. At that point, as long as they're not making contact with one another, and verbally trying to make them leave that area, then he would be perfectly okay to pull up and fish beside him.
And retaliation certainly not the best way for problem resolution like that.
No,
but I venture that the individual, had a weapon not been drawn, the individual that the guide had the problem with, that particular individual, that guide would have had to have been there 24/7 for the next year in order to get to fish that top again, because that individual is going to be on that top every day that the fish are biting.
Right. And actually, once he pulled his firearm and made the threat, that was the only law that he had broken at that time. If he had not pulled his firearm, charges would not have been filed.
Sure.
Okay, but now that's what I want to make sure we're clear on, because I've always heard your boat is just like your car. If you feel threatened and you stay in your vehicle or you stay inside your boat, you're legal to possess that weapon as long as you ain't actually fired a shot at somebody. But if you feel threatened, you're still okay.
You'd be in jail right now.
Yeah, but not according to the law.
Well, how come they arrested somebody?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Why did they arrest him when it?
If it's okay to have a firearm in a boat, is that the question you're asking?
No, my question is, if that man felt threatened in his boat that had the firearm, he's protecting himself. It's just like you've been in your car. Somebody walk up to your car window, you can shoot that person, and you're legally okay. Now, it's not a great thing to do, but if you feel actually threatened by that person, you have the right to defend yourself inside your vehicle. Now, the minute you leave that vehicle, now it's all bets are off.
Right. Well, at this particular time, we had not witnessed the transaction that took place. We had to obtain witness statements from everyone that was on board both vessels. And we had a witness that was on the shoreline that witnessed the counteraction. And what we did is we took the witness statements and all the evidence that we had. We charged both subjects, and we're going to present it to the district attorney. And it will be up to him to follow through with charges.
Right. Right.
We're not the judge and jury.
Right. Right.
What a nightmare for you, though, to have to
Yeah.
handle a situation
Yeah, really.
like this. I mean, best practice in the future for anyone else who's in this particular situation, should this happen again, would be to just shoot a video, and if you need to be, if you feel threatened, just leave. Right.
Right, and contact 911 immediately.
Yeah.
That's the best solution that we have. Like I said, most people seem to calm down, and once the phone comes out and video begins, most people want to, they don't want to be presented in a bad way, and that's when they're on tape saying stuff, they tend to realize that, and things seem to calm down.
You know what? Now, one other situation before we let you go, because we see this a lot after the fall of the year with duck hunters. And you have a lot of it on Toledo Bend where duck hunters are fishing. I mean, duck hunters are hunting, and you've got fishermen that are still fishing into the fall of the year, and infractions like that. What do you advise those two when they meet? Both are after something completely different, but they're using the same water.
It's not a big issue for Toledo Bend because the fishermen and hunters both show a pretty good respect for one another. So we haven't had to address that too often, but I would advise the fishermen to be careful, and because there is flying ducks, people have firearms and they're firing at the game that they're trying to take.
Yeah. I look at it this way. He's got a shotgun. I got a rod. That ain't going to work.
I'm pretty dang accurate with a Zara spook, though. I'm just telling you.
I don't know. A treble hook in the duck blind would be pretty bad.
It would be a
Yeah,
bad
it could
day.
be bad.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate that and the great words of advice that you've given. And hopefully this was, a real unique situation, and we're not going to have any replication of that.
I hope not either. And I appreciate y'all letting us get the word out.
One last question. So who's going to be charged with shooting the eagle?
That's you.
I'm going to leave that to the National Guard.
Okay. Thank you, Sergeant and Andrew Mitchell with Louisiana Wildlife Fisheries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. Before we go, we got a second. You're on the lake. You found a top. You're fishing a top. Guide approaches you, says, I'm on my guide day. This is my guide party. That's my top. What's Mike Eccles going to do?
Does he say, I would appreciate it if you would move where I could guide?
You answered it exactly.
Yes.
How does he?
If he tells me to move, I'm fixing to drop anchor, and I'm going to pee in the water.
Yeah.
If I'm in a tournament and I know there's fish and I'm catching fish off of it, I'm going to have to say, well, you got to wait till I'm through. I will leave it, but I'll be nice about it, but maybe we both fish it together. I
understand the guide's viewpoint. They went to the trouble
no
putting
doubt.
that top out there.
No doubt.
They did all the work. I stumbled up on it, but he is still, and Joey Hood made this statement, he is making his living off of a public resource.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He didn't buy that
That's
land.
the chances
He
you
didn't-
take.
Which makes it public property,
He didn't raise those fish.
Right.
He is reaping the benefit of a public resource, so he has got to understand that it is not his.
Yeah.
Amen. Hook it up and track it down. 11:30. The Tiger.
If you want to hear the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show any place, anytime, download the Radio Pup app on your iPhone, iPad, or other listening device. You can also catch us again Saturday mornings from 6 till 8 here on 1130 The Tiger. This segment presented by Natchitoches Ford, Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend, and the Cowboys Wild Game Washer. If you don't have a game washer, you've got to have one of these. Go to GameWasher.com to learn more. Now back to the guys who could use a good washing: Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Here's your Daiwa Gamakatsu best times to fish. Looks like a great weekend for fishing as all 3 days are rated as excellent for a tropical storm. Tropical storm Cindy will be making landfall, and it may be wet weekend as well. There's a 90% chance of rain on Friday, 80 on Saturday, and 40 on Sunday. Tropical storm Cindy will bring some cooler temperatures to our area with highs in the mid-80s, lows in the lower 70s. We are in a new moon phase this weekend. Best time to fish is going to be early to mid-afternoon, Friday, 12:25 to 3:25 p.m. Sunrise at 6:07. Sunset at 8:21. Saturday, best time to fish will be 5:50 to 8:50. We took about a 6-hour jump in time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
it's a big window there.
Yeah,
fish all day.
Sunrise.
Jumping in the boat.
Just get out there at daylight, fish till dark. Sunrise 6:06, sunset at 8:20. That was supposed to be probably 3:50. That's supposed to be 3:50.
I'll look it up real quick while you.
Sunday, best time to fish is 1:25 to 4:25 p.m. Sunrise at 6:08. Sunset at 8:21. This has been your Daiwa Gamakatsu best times to fish, which we don't know what in the world we're talking about. And Jack Rothell commented on the last segment. He said, "Do not bring an all-star rod to a gunfight." Good idea, Jack.
Real quick, I want to kind of recap. Here's what the LDWF urges you how to handle this situation. They urge citizens that are being harassed while lawfully fishing is in an area. Please call local authorities, which is what the officer just told us. Harassment of persons lawfully fishing brings up to a $750 fine and 90 days in jail. The harassment of persons, now follow me on this because this is very complicated. The harassment of persons lawfully fishing regulation provides that it is unlawful to disturb any hunter, trapper, or fisherman who is engaged in the lawful taking of a wild game or who is engaged in the process of taking with the intent to dissuade or otherwise prevent the taking or to prevent such person's enjoyment of the outdoors.
Okay,
aggravated assault carries $1,000 fine.
I can make that simple. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just you know what?
There
are people born every day that are just a jerk.
That don't care.
That don't care. Now, question for you guys. When you're in a situation like this, how hard do you think it is to prove harassment if there is no other witness?
Without video, it's going to be real difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my whole point. So, that was probably the best nugget, best takeaway that I got from his conversation.
Exactly.
What about that phone and start videoing?
Yeah, that's true.
We'll see you in court when it comes down to it.
And the offending party was going to win because that was 2 witnesses to 1.
Yeah,
except for somebody on the bank.
But I'm going to tell you, in defense of that guide, as we said earlier, he put the top out, and I'm still like you. How did he approach me? Hey, today's my guide day. That's my top. Do you mind? I'll be here 2 hours.
Yeah,
come back. And you can fish it. Man, I would have had no problem leaving.
Not at all.
Obviously, it's a crappie top. You're not in a tournament.
Exactly.
Okay, we got some outdoor outlaws. Yes. Other ones. Man, it's all about the criminals today, isn't it?
All right, I'll take this first one. Captain abandoned ship on Sam Rayburn. Tyler Cannon Game Warden observed a personal watercraft, which would be a jet ski, motoring across without any occupants near Rattlesnake Island on Sam Rayburn Lake. The wardens then saw an individual swimming from the watercraft. Wardens were able to stop the watercraft before it crashed into the rocks along the island. Wardens identified the operator and after a short interview became concerned that the man was potentially intoxicated.
Do you think?
The operator thought it would be quicker to swim to the shore rather than run the jet ski since he had been drinking. So the man...
Here's the game warden. I'm not operating the vehicle. I'm just swimming.
Yeah, I'm abandoning ship here. The man admitted to drinking 2 beers and later he also had smoked some marijuana.
It was the Oreos in his mouth that gave that away.
Yeah. with the green filling.
He had a Twinkie.
Yeah. The subject was booked in Jasper County Jail on boating while intoxicated charges.
How drunk do you have to be to think you can outswim a jet ski?
Hey, that blasted Olympic swimmer's fixing to race a great white shark.
Yeah, Michael Phelps.
Yeah. How drunk you got to be to do that? I'm gonna tell you right now. You just let me know that shark's behind me, and I can outrun a 250 horsepower Mercury.
I couldn't outswim a turtle.
I got a story for y'all later on that I'll tell on myself, but we'll go ahead.
All right, what you got for us, Uncle Mike?
I want to read the last one. You take the second one, but I'll go ahead. 3 Raceland men cited for over the limit of frogs on Salvador Wildlife Management Area. Agents cited Ricky Ponson, age 40, and Jared Lupe, 38, for being over the legal limit of frogs and failing to provide agents with a self-clearing permit.
What is a self-clearing?
I am guilty of that too.
What's a self-clearing?
I do not have a self-clearing permit. Isn't that when you shave yourself?
Self-clearing.
Agents were on boat patrol on the Salvador Wildlife Management Area when they inspected Ponson and Lupe's vessel and found that the 2 men to be in possession of 69 frogs. Agents.
Now, wait a minute. It wasn't even a really good night, and they're over the limit?
Apparently.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was. Agents cited Frank Ciroli Jr., 39, for being over the legal limit of frogs during an inspection of the vessel. Agents found him in possession of 99 frogs.
Wow.
Agents seized the frogs and wanted to fry them up for a great... Agents
really?
seized the frogs and wanted to fry them up for a great meal. We're going to confiscate your stuff and eat it. But decided to return them to the water over the limit of frogs on a WMA and failing to provide a self-clearing permit brings a $100 to $350 fine and 90 days in jail for each offense. The experimental nighttime frogging and fishing season for the Salvador WMA will be open until official sunrise on August the 15th. To frog on Salvador WMA, a self-clearing permit and a basic fishing license are required, and frogs are limited to 50 frogs per vessel.
I'll bet you that self-clearing permit, when you go to BODCAW, you got to fill out that little tag that lets them know that you're on the, they're on BODCAW, and you got to turn it in when you leave. I'll bet that's what that is.
Kind of like a hall pass.
Just lets them know that you're on the place.
There was 2 frogs laying in bed in the aftermath. Mm-hmm. Both of them smoking a cigarette, and one of them said to the other one, "We do taste like chicken, don't we?"
Agents cited Jason Wilkerson, 27, and Freddie J. Crapel, 45, for illegal use and possession of a gill net in a saltwater area and resisting an officer. Oh, this is going to get good. While on a boat patrol in the Empire area, agents observed the 2 men actively fishing a gill net in the marsh. Agents attempted to stop the subjects. However, they ignored the agent's orders to stop and fled the area. That story would have been so much better. They just, I'll go away. We're catching fish here. Anyway, during the investigation, agents were able to identify the men in the vessel, and the following day made contact with both men at their residences. So these guys are old pros at it.
Exactly.
Not only did they leave the area, the agents, that's old Jason and Freddie.
Yeah, it wasn't their first rodeo.
When confronted with the evidence, both subjects admitted to their crimes and were charged. See, that just take the lie all the way through.
Yeah.
Unless they got a film, agents seized the illegal gill net used in connection with a violation. Use and possess of a gill net in a saltwater area brings a $900 to $950 fine and up to 120 days in jail. Resisting an officer carries up to a $500 fine, 6 months in jail, and some pop knots upside the head usually.
Yeah. And a roommate named Bubba.
Yeah. Now, the question have you ever used a gill net?
No, I never have.
I haven't either. I've never either. My good buddy Donnie Yakes, God rest his soul, his dad was one of the best. And you have to have a certain size hole in there, and it can't be too big or something like that. And they used to catch his dad had a commercial fishing license and would catch those fish. And let me tell you right now, you catch a game fish in that gill, you can't stop them from going in there.
Right,
but you catch a game fish in that gill net, you dang well better get him put back. Somebody's watching you.
Yeah.
They know that gill net's there.
Yeah, you're
I mean,
right.
the minute you start pulling that gill net, there's a warden watching you somewhere. That's something they don't play with.
Yeah, that's
If you come to the bank with some white perch and an ice chest, and they've got that mark around their nose, and seriously, where they get hung up in it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're gone.
That's not a hook mark.
Well, you was asking what the self-clearing permit is. It is kind of what we alluded to. It is a check-in and check-out. There's two parts to the self-clearing permit.
Yeah, that's what I said. You
have to have
fill
that.
it out when you go in, and you have to turn it back in before you leave.
Right. So
We're hooking up and tracking down. See, teaching you something again every Wednesday and Saturday.
there you go.
We do taste like chicken.
11:30, the Tiger.
Man, how time flies. It's our final segment. Please check out our new website at HUTDshow.com, an information highway for all things related to the great outdoors. This segment is presented by Nichols Department Stores, Kamakatsu Hooks, Spro Lures, and Toledo Town and Tackle. The largest tackle box on the bin with a great selection of Daiwa rods and reels, Spro Lures, and Kamakatsu Hooks. One more time, here's Topwater Wadley, Chatterbait McCoy, Dinkmaster Graff, and Mudhen Eccles.
Headed for the Gulf Coast region for some great fishing? Well, don't be that guy who forgot to register for the CCA Louisiana Star statewide tournament and Anglers Rodeo. Starting Memorial Day weekend and running through Labor Day, Star is Louisiana CCA's largest membership drive and helps provide funding for all types of coastal and intercoastal projects statewide. Anglers compete for over $500,000 in prizes from boats to trucks. It's not too late. Register now. Go to ccastar.com to learn more and to register for the greatest fishing tournament in the Gulf Coast region. Coastal Conservation Association of Louisiana, making a difference in the future of our waterways.
You know what? To bring back up a little bit, we've had some really good subjects on today. Kelly Haydell from Haydell's Game Calls talked about a couple of things. He said if that guy was a good guide, he probably has 40 to 50 tops in the lake. He says it's all about attitude and respect, understanding ownership or lack of ownership. Yeah. So really, you know, how he approach, because if he is a good guide, he's got another top he can go to. He can come back later or just abandon that top for the day.
Well, the other day when me and Mike did the show live from Toledo Town and Tackle, we had lunch with a good friend of ours, Maurice Jackson, and him and another guide sat down there, were talking.
Ray Maples.
Maples.
Oh, I love Ray.
And they were talking about, and I didn't realize this, that these guides, a lot of them share the same tops. They all work together.
Yeah.
It's a group of guys that kind of get together and they have all these. They know how many fish they caught out of each one. Mm-hmm. They know when they were caught, the date, and they kind of rotate to make sure that they can provide for their customers. So I was impressed with that they all work together like that.
Well, Kelly Haydell also said the self-clearing permit is just like you said. He says they use the information as well for funding through the state.
Yeah.
Because they're able to show, hey, we've had this many people that use this, you know, throughout the course of the year. And Bubba Hadaway, who listens every week, Bubba and his son, right there in the shop, thank you again for you guys always tuning in. He says, I would never stop a man from making his living. If I'm not on the Bassmasters tour, he's going to get that spot.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it would be the way he approached me, because I'm not real good with bad attitude.
Yeah, me either.
You know what though? You and I were fishing a tournament last year on Toledo Bend, and there was another guy who was also fishing a tournament. I don't think it was the same tournament, but we were fishing essentially the same body of water. And we told him, said, look, hey, we're coming to right here.
Yeah.
And we'll turn around and go the other way, and you do the same. And you told him, you said, we're only going to be here for a couple of hours, and then we're out.
Right.
And he said, well, he just went over to the other side of the lake.
He wasn't happy.
He was not happy, but he left.
Yeah, he did.
He said, I drove all the way up here to get to this spot, but you guys are doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm so intimidating looking anyway. He didn't want me climbing over in that boat and whooping on him or anything.
I heard him call his wife, and he was scared. Yeah, I heard that.
Somebody comes up to me with a bad attitude, I kind of take it as a personal challenge.
Oh, yeah.
That's me.
We're going to see how bad attitude can get around here.
I can be as big a jerk as anybody.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Or everybody.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up, just got this today from Delta Waterfowl, hit the marsh in a new duck truck. What's a duck truck?
Really? What is that? I'm looking at you.
Okay. Mine is a Dodge. Mine's a Dodge.
Is that what Phil Robertson has, though? Does he call that a duck truck, that little bitty
This one is a brand new 2017 Chevy Silverado 1500 four-wheel drive LT crew cab, plus you get $1,000 cash. That's a duck truck.
You hunt ducks out of it?
Wait just a second. What did you just do when he said Chevy Silverado? You went,
No, I thought
you did.
No, I thought it was a small truck. I thought it was a small truck.
No, you went because it was Chevrolet.
No, it had nothing to do with the
Ford,
brand. It wasn't a brand.
You know what? We've got all three brands represented here, because you drive a Dodge,
Exactly.
you drive a Ford.
I drive the best truck, the Ford, and then y'all have the other ones.
Enter the 2017 Delta Waterfowl truck raffle for only $100 per ticket. Only 1,000 tickets will be sold. And the minute Bubba England hears about this, he's won, y'all. I need for you to understand.
Okay, well, you're not going to go up on stage, Bubba.
For every truck raffle ticket you purchase, we'll send you a free 2018 Delta Waterfowl calendar. The Delta calendar features stunning images of waterfowl, retrievers, and duck hunting scenes.
No bikinis?
The full-size calendar.
Not the calendar.
Yeah, we need those quackers. Buy your tickets today, deltawaterfowl.org.
He's looking for the hen calendar.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm looking for.
Anyway, that's a cool deal. A duck truck.
If they're only going to, and I know they wouldn't be. That'd be false. Whatever you call it. They're going to do 1,000 tickets. I'll probably buy one.
1,000 tickets, $100 each.
Yeah.
Do the math on that. How much they've raised?
I don't know. I'm not thinking math right now.
If there's 100 tickets at $1,000 each,
that's $1 million.
No, that's
$100,000. Now, getting back to the duck truck, I didn't frown at Chevrolet. What I want you guys to, maybe y'all know the brand of this truck. Have y'all seen Phil Robertson, what he hunts out of, or how he gets to the duck blind? It's a little bitty truck about as big as this table. And it's got a back end on it like a Rhino or something.
That's called Japmobiles.
It is like a Japmo. That's exactly right. But
one of those little Isuzus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
something like that.
That's what it is.
Hey, that's what a couple of guys used to use at the duck lease the deer lease I had in Rocky Mount. They use those little Isuzu rodeos because they're 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And he says they cost half what a 4-wheeler, what a regular 4-wheeler costs.
Or something cost,
and they said, you can go in and you got the heat. You got heat.
Oh, really?
And windshield wipers.
And windshield wipers.
Oh, okay.
And the dog can ride in the back.
Well, I know Phil loves them. He has 2 or 3 of them. So
It's just hard to get somebody to work on them.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Tommy Brown had one, and I BS'd Barry Lewis into buying it. He BS'd Todd from my deer lease into buying it. I don't know who's got that sucker right now.
It won't run.
Yeah. No, it was a good vehicle. It really was.
Right. Also, and talking about duck hunting, the Louisiana DU State Convention is going to be July 21st at the Doubletree Hotel in Lafayette. If anybody's interested in going to that event, there you go.
Okay.
July 21st.
One of the things that's most pressing on us right now is this front's coming.
Yeah.
Tropical Storm Cindy got upgraded. I don't know if you realize this, but the governor has already declared a state of emergency for the state of Louisiana. People in South Louisiana already starting to get pounded. You said somebody you knew drove through a foot of water?
Yeah, Dwayne Chapman and Mr. Sam went down to Cocodrie, maybe down there right now, and drove to their camp a foot of water. It's expected to get 2 to 3 foot high down there, so we're already having a problem.
Yeah.
And see, right now, the Sabine River, which I wanted to get to Carl about, but the Sabine River is high right now. So they ain't got no room for this water.
Wow.
So a lot of the people down around Deweyville, south on the Sabine River area, Orange, Texas, pray for them because they can't handle another major flooding.
What about the Natchitoches area of the Red? Any potential problems there?
I don't think so. The Red, when it rains north of here, like Oklahoma, Texas border, that's what affects us here. When it rains like through Natchitoches, and it doesn't really, it just goes on out.
Okay.
But when it's up north, it's when it piles up on us.
If they get 6 or 8 inches rain down there, I expect the Gulf to come up a foot or two.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. I'm looking at the radar here.
All right, now, wait a minute. Now, I want to go on to one other thing because we're into fishing mode right now. In the rain, there's no lightning, no thunder. You can't hear anything, but it's coming down pretty hard. Are you're not at the lake yet. It's already raining. Are you going to go to the lake and fish in that with a tropical storm blowing through?
Absolutely.
You believe that, the fish are just going to. Now, what are you going to throw in the rain?
It doesn't matter.
Really?
No,
Buzzbait, blade, it don't matter.
When fish a buzzbait in the rain?
Heck yeah, man. Especially if it's just not. Now, if it's pouring down, I wouldn't. But if it's just a good, steady, light rain, heck yeah. Frog.
Do you put the buzzbait up if the wind's blowing hard?
Yeah, because it kind of negates the purpose of the,
Yeah.
It doesn't do as well.
What are you going to throw?
I'm gonna throw a.
You're going to throw what you always throw?
I'm going to throw the same thing. I'm going to throw a jig or a crawl worm or a.
You go on bottom.
Yeah. But I'll swim it.
Eccles and I went to Caddo Lake here a couple of weeks ago, and Eccles is he and Claude, two of the best jig fishermen around. You can say what you want to, but two of the best jig. And Eccles was like, I don't have any tackle. I don't have any rods on. I said, man, I got everything you need. He said, you got a jig? I said, yeah. He reached in there, grabbed a jig, grabbed a crawl worm trailer to go on. You got one of these? Yeah. I put it on there. We hadn't been on the lake 20 minutes. He already stuck a fish on a jig, and I was like, I hadn't fished a jig in forever. And I don't know if I fished one that day or not, but the next Saturday,
I wouldn't give you one of mine. I was in your boat.
the next Saturday, I was like, Eccles caught a fish on this jig. Let me throw it. And do you know the first tree I came up to? There it was. First jig fish I had caught in 4 or 5 years.
Really?
Yeah. Because I've gotten hung up on all the other stuff.
That's all it is.
The beavers are new and the chatterbait and all that kind of stuff. And I'd never caught a fish on chatterbait before this year.
July the 1st, Landers Ram Boss Tournament Trail, the whole circuit, we're putting on a specialty tournament. This is invitational only. 5 teams from the Boss circuit were drawn to fish, and the sponsors from BOSS are invited to fish and put together a team, and it's going to be a real neat deal. We're furnishing the baits. The first 2 hours you can only fish a Strike King buzzbait. The next 2 hours you can only fish a Strike King 2.5 square bill crankbait. The next 2 hours you can only fish a Sandtone jig with a Mr. Twister buzzbug trailer, and the last 2 hours everybody will be fishing the hang 10 worm furnished for them, so it's going to be a neat deal.
Cool,
Mr. Twister. That's awesome.
Here's this week's final word. With stormy weather headed from the for the Occotex region this week, we are expected to receive a lot of rain. We are no strangers to heavy rains and understand the potential for flooding in low-lying areas. Make sure your family's prepared by having a 3-day supply of fresh drinking water, batteries for flashlights in case of power outage, a weather radio, non-perishable food items along with a manual can opener, wrench or pliers to turn off utilities, etc. To learn more of what essentials you might need, go to www.ready.gov/kit. But more importantly, be ready to help your fellow neighbor if the need arises to rescue or take them in. These storms can be unpredictable, so make sure you and your family are safe as possible. For Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, Jay Watley, and yours truly, Steve Graff, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week right here with more Hooking Up and Tracking Down on 1130 The Tiger.